to talk about visionaries, innovators, and the icon session from the business and trends track. Okay, this session is not about going bold or going home. It's about going bold at home, right? See what we did there? Really good. Moderating our discussion today is Allison Kenworthy. She is the founder and CEO of Homeworthy. And I'd like to just mention that in addition to these fabulous designers from Pulp Designs, our moderator today, get this, is a 3-time Emmy award-winning television producer and the founder, of course, of Homeworthy, which is a media network that highlights extraordinary people and their homes. Founded in 2020, Homeworthy now generates over 1.2 billion minutes watched annually across its streaming platforms. Allison also worked at, formerly, the ABC's Good Morning America, where she covered entertainment stories from red carpets to the Golden Globes and the Met Gala. So everybody, button your top buttons and look your best because Allison will be looking for that, I'm thinking. Just kidding. As mentioned, Allison is going to be joined by the incredible Beth Dotolo and Carolina Gentry of Pulp Design Studios. These ladies are amazing. You're going to love their conversations. And I always learn something every time they have something to say, which they always have something great to say. So you're going to be able to get to know them and their engaging and fearless conversations over the next hour. So without further ado, help me welcome to the stage Allison, Beth, and Carolina for this engaging discussion.
Can everybody hear me? Well, I am so happy to be sitting down. I've been walking for miles today, but let's give it up for KBIS. We are so happy to be here. Thank you all for having us and for being at this chat today. I'm thrilled to be here with Beth and Carolina, and we're going to talk about all of the amazing accomplishments in the residential space, the commercial space, all of the other exciting projects you have going on, and we are talking about being fearless today, and I think the most obvious question to kick off this session would be just to talk about how you both define fearless design.
I think we kind of have a 3-prong approach to fearless design, and I think one part is obviously aesthetics, right? Like you don't want to be boring, you want to be bold. Well, we do anyways.
Yeah, and that's usually why our clients hire us, actually.
Right. The other part of it too is just being fearless about putting yourself out into your space. So it's like, it's a vulnerable place to be, to put your culture out for everyone to see and incorporate into design, put your travels, like your personal things, it can be a kind of a vulnerable place and something that not everybody wants to do. And then the third part of fearless is really just being fearless about living in your home, designing functional, cleanable things, and not having to wait until baby grows up to design a good space, or not worrying about dogs, that kind of thing. Like we want people to be fearless in their space. So that's kind of how we encompass our fearless design approach, is sort of in 3 ways.
Let's go back in time. You started your firm in 2007.
Yeah.
How did you two meet? How did you decide to go into business together? Tell us the story.
Well, we actually worked together first, so we knew we could work together rather than us being like friends first and then maybe realizing we can't work together.
And she was actually my boss. She was a senior designer and I was an intern.
Oh my God.
I kind of think I might be the boss now, but it's okay.
No, she's not. I think we're all bosses in our own way, and I think that's what makes us such a great duo, is that we both have different strengths that play off of each other really, really well, and I think that's what makes us a great team.
So we worked together, and then we just kind of got tired of the way the people we were working for were doing things, like tale as old as time. And so we just decided to start our own thing, and that was 18 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah. And when you started your company, did you know that you wanted your ethos to be fearless design, or is that something that evolved over time?
I don't think we quite articulated it in that way, but I think it was just more of like we enjoyed
who
doing.
we are.
Yeah, just who we are.
And how we design in general for ourselves and our clients.
How do you develop, though, that courage to be fearless? Like, how did you two find that in yourselves, but then how do you also give that to not only your clients, but also somebody in the audience who might be wondering, well, how can I be fearless with design?
Well, I think Carolina and I are both just kind of like I didn't want to say ballsy, but I just did. But we're just very upfront people, you know, and I think we both have a lot of confidence, and we've always been that way. And so I know that can be hard when you're not a confident person. We actually have a lot of clients who come to us who are not confident people and who need our assistance to help them.
They need a little push.
Yeah, who need a little push. But I think it's just about like being brave and, you know, like wanting to go for it. And I think that, you know, life is short. Why be boring?
But people
you know?
also, I guess everybody has their own version of what is fearless to them. So we try to take them to the next level. You know, somebody might think something is fearless, somebody might think something is fearless and someone else might think it's not. So we try to push our clients in different ways. And everybody has their own version of what they feel fearless is, I guess.
So like
different levels of fearlessness.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily need to be pattern and color and texture. Well, that might be that for you.
Right.
Can it be minimalism?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, where there's like a lot of
and
neutrality.
Sometimes that's hard to
you know?
do that. You know, it's hard to create a bold juxtaposition between things when you're doing, you know, monochromatic things or textures and textures versus just pattern on top of pattern.
Let's talk a little bit about the conversations you have with clients. So clients come to you and some are looking for that push or some are already fully on board. What is the range?
I think it's both, really. And I think one of the things we have done in our business is we've tried to market ourselves to what we want to work on. So like we're not posting boring things on our Instagram. You know, we're not pitching boring projects to magazines. Like we're pitching the projects that we want to do more of, you know, and so in that because we want to do more exciting design and we want to do things that are more
that's why people hire us.
Bold and dynamic, we attract those types of people, whether they are ready to go and they're like splash it all. Like we'll go over a project later, but we actually had to like dial the client back a little bit because we were just like, whoa, like that's tacky. Like we got to like rein it in. And then sometimes they're just like, right, but it's true. But then sometimes, you know, like they want us to show them what it could be because they don't have the vision for themselves.
It's funny because we do have two different offices. Well, we have several offices, but our two main offices, one's in Seattle and one's in Dallas. And clients always say, like, the reason I hired you in Dallas is because you don't do like baby blue and white design all the time. And that's interesting. And then in Seattle, it's the same thing. Like the reason we hired you was because
you're not like the other Seattle designers.
Yeah, all the other Seattle designers, which is interesting. I think it's because we do have that unexpected flair in our projects. We have a really great way of enhancing our clients' aesthetic and making sure that their personality shows through our design for them. If you look through our portfolio, we have transitional, traditional, modern, contemporary. So I think it's great. And we do that with, you know, the flair with the unexpected by pushing our clients in different ways.
It's kind of this like really wonderful combination of function meets flair. And how do you do that? How do you make sure that a home has like this wow factor, but is also, as you said, like appropriate maybe for a 5-year-old living there?
Yeah, I mean, well, like the firm that we met at was more like a multifamily firm. We had Carolina
did hospitality for 10 years, so I'm like, it's in my brain.
Commercial. So durability, cleanability, that was always at the forefront of our design before we started doing residential. And so before they were selling performance fabrics at retailers and all that stuff, we were taking commercial and hospitality fabrics and using them in a luxurious way in residential. And so that, I think, having a knowledge of materials, which I'm sure like a lot of designers here, like this is a very like material driven show. Like you have to know what to use and where and what's appropriate. Like you have to be professional enough and have the experience to do that. And so that's why I think it's so important to hire a designer because, you know, people think they can do it on their own and then they accidentally buy silk for their dining chairs, which has happened before that we've come a design emergency for a client. We're like, why did you get silk?
They're destroyed.
Why do you have silk dining chairs?
Right.
Yeah,
it's not just all about the pretty all the time. It's about a balance between the pretty and the functionality of things.
So say you have a client come to you, they're really excited by your aesthetic, but they are not sure about making the plunge? How do you convince them, or how do you talk to them, or what does that conversation look like?
I actually just sent an email in the green room to a client who was like, I don't know if I want option A or option B. Like, can you help me visualize it? Can we do a 3D model? And I was like, can you just trust us? That's literally what I wrote. But we do, but I mean, we can usually like use our charm to just move forward, but when we can't use our charm, we do have a lot of tools. We have like rendering tools, we have 3D visualization,
That's
depending on how much the client wants to pay for. You know, like if you trust us, it's cheap. You know, if you don't trust us, it's going to cost you, because now we have to 3D model it and render it and do all this stuff, which we can do, and we do. But we have a project that we were working on in Seattle that we were putting a ton of Cosentino in that project. And we actually modeled that project to the point where the client could walk around in VR goggles to make sure he felt comfortable with it, even though we're like, it's going to look great.
But technology has definitely helped our industry tremendously for our clients, since they are not visual for the most part, you know, to help us sell the vision of what we want to do in our projects.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Do you both have your own sense of style, or what are the differences? How would you each describe your own personal taste?
It's so funny because whenever we go shopping or we're out and about at these shows and stuff, we're always kind of drawn to the same things.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how we do like a lot of the same things, but we do kind of have our own vibe, I guess. Although I guess we are wearing some outfits today, so.
We're the exact same person today, it's fine. No, I feel like Carolina's style is more like eclectic and global. Like she's Mexican, so she has like a heritage that's different than mine. I'm white and I'm like more modern and clean. So like you grew up with
I like
more,
pattern and all those types of things, which is interesting because I might wear things like that, but I don't really have a lot of that stuff in my house. Like I feel like she has more pattern in her house than I do.
Oh, that's
so it's
funny.
really interesting balance.
Do you design your own homes the way that you design them for clients?
No.
I don't know.
I don't. I mean, I'm a small business owner.
No, I
don't have the budget our clients
yeah,
have.
I mean, obviously. But I mean, I'm just aesthetically, I feel like we do like little pops of color here and there, and like you know, pattern play for.
But also, like being a designer, you don't do it all at once. You're collecting as you go because we are exposed to so many things. So like we can't do that for clients. I don't want to do that for clients. Like you got to get it done. We got to get it done. No.
Wait, I was blown away. Backstage, we were talking about the projects that they have going on. You have, did you say 50 that you're kind of working on in different stages all over the place? How do you manage this?
No, like 50. We have like 50 active projects.
That's a lot.
They range in scale, but you know, we have clients that we've had for 10 plus years. They just keep coming back. So we're either working on the same house and working on different parts of the house over and over again, or they have vacation homes, or you know, we can't get rid of them, which is great. Yeah, we love it. But
we have a good
juggle
team.
it. We have a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have clients who have been with you for this ride, who have kind of evolved with you and have gotten more fearless themselves?
Yes.
Yes. And I think it's gone, like we have clients who have gone from like, you know, working with just some random designers to like being proud of like who we are, and like, not that we're anybody special, but like they're proud of our accomplishments, you know?
Yeah, because they started with us when we, you know, had started as well, and now, you know, we've evolved, our business has evolved, and.
Okay, so let's talk about this, the evolution of this business. You know, you've got offices. How many offices do you have? You've got them Dallas, Seattle.
Like we have two like brick and mortar, one in Dallas and one in Seattle, and then we have 2.5 satellite offices where we have like a designer in that city, in LA, Portland, and then Lubbock, Texas, which is, it's all just sort of happenstance because we have really good employees who we really liked, and they had a life change and needed to move, and we're like, all right, open up another office, like it's fine.
Well, so you've had this incredible expansion, but you're also now in the textile space, you're in the real estate space. Has this all been organic? How has this come about?
It has been organic.
Yeah, it's been organic. Like I think, we've always had a passion for product design. We try to do custom in all of our projects. The very first custom piece that we did on our very first project as Pulp was a custom piece of hardware, and we put it online, and it like went like people were always asking like,
Still
where can I get
available,
that?
by the
Where
way.
can I get that?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on our website.
It's on our website.
And I mean, we'd love a hardware collection if anybody wants to like give us one that's here at KBIS. But
I feel like
but we have 2 textile collections.
yeah, and then we have and so then we have 2 licensed, so that we manufacture that on our own, and then we have 2 licensed textile collections with S. Harris and Fabric Cut Contract. And that's developed. We're doing more, and we're meeting with them in a couple weeks, which we're really excited about. And this is all these are all our fabrics. These are sets that we designed to showcase the fabrics. So, and then we also just wanted to invest in ourselves instead of wasting our money. And so we bought some properties, and we have like some commercial. We have a commercial property, and then we have
Dallas, and then we have an Airbnb in Palm Springs.
And a house in Palm Springs that we rent out. Mm-hmm. That we
That
have
is so cool.
Yeah, so we just and we've got other stuff.
You're moguls.
We have other stuff coming that we're not allowed to talk about.
Yes,
but
we do.
Yeah, it's exciting.
In the works.
But that's
now
like the fun
for
stuff
next year.
that we get to do for ourselves.
Right.
Whereas we love designing for clients, but sometimes it's tiresome to always be designing for clients. So it's nice to have a creative outlet that's for ourselves. So.
With these new ventures, like getting into the textile business, getting into real estate, doing an Airbnb, I mean, were there challenges along the way that you kind of weren't expecting that were tough?
Always, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's
Just
always.
like
I think there was
standard
more.
business stuff.
There was more exciting things than there were challenges. Like with the textile collection, I think we were just excited to put out a textile collection. But what we didn't realize is it was actually going to bring us so much closer to the design community, because that now all of these designers that we know are using our product in their projects, and so to be able to see something we created in all of our friends' projects and be a part of the design community in that way, I think was really, really cool. And actually, Richard Anaskevich was talking up here, and he's one of our friends.
Yeah.
And a picture of our fabric rolled by.
Yeah, it was on
one of his chairs. I was like,
designs,
I love that.
So it's nice how we all just support each other.
Yeah, it's cool.
Let's just talk about a couple of the projects that you've worked on. I think the pictures will at some point roll. But there's one that was more bold and colorful. Can you tell us about that project?
Yeah, so there's one in Seattle that was more bold and colorful. That was actually one where the client really wanted to go crazy with color blocking, and so we had to
You can imagine.
we had to pull back and be okay, let's just accent with color, which as a designer it's it's weird to say let's scale you back a little bit, but they really wanted to go all out, and it just got unhinged real fast. But when that project scrolls by, it was a beautiful house called we called it the glass house, and the doors opened up on both sides to the water. All throughout the house, it's very art driven. There's colorful pendants above the dining table. We painted the island this bright blue, and then we put little wall covering, hints of wall covering everywhere. So that was a fun project to design, from start to finish. And when people walk through that house, they say they always talk to the homeowners, and they say, I feel so alive in this house. I feel and they say that they're jealous and that they would like their designer's information.
We have gotten a lot of referrals from that client, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now we have a whole community of clients from them that all know each other and all talk about us and swap stories, because their house was memorable. It was not boring, and so when people walk in, they ask questions and they get the tour, and it's exciting and dynamic and interesting, and it's not just run of the mill. So, yeah.
And then there's another project at some point.
I know, we're not.
See more photos. I think they're scrolling, but it's more neutral. How would you describe
and that was
one,
the same
Carolina?
thing, creating something that had more a play off of texture and tonal, juxtaposition and materials, using woods, and we did have little moments. There's an office that has a wall covering that looks kind of like a graffiti almost, or just to add a little pop of the surprise throughout that neutral, space.
And I think that client too was really down to go bold as far as dark colors go.
Right.
There was a nearly pure black office with black stone and black paint and black
We did
everything.
striped walls in the kids' playroom. That was really highly impactful with a chartreuse sofa. So we did have some fun plays off of it, but it wasn't as, pattern on top of pattern like the other, like this one.
Oh yeah, so this is the one in Seattle that we had to rein them in, but there's this like slider wall that we put a crane wall covering on that like there was an art studio behind.
This was a very art-centric project.
The one
so
in
this
Seattle.
This is a
that
Seattle
same
one too.
Their son is an artist, and they're just very creative family, and it shows in their home, and that's again going back to, us enhancing our clients' aesthetic and making it, better than.
Like with a room like this, let's go with this one. Where do you start? Do you start with those walls or the couch, or how does it begin?
I think we just start with a whole, a palette, and just see how far we could take it. Originally, that room was going to be just, either white or have like an accent wall or a wall covering that was just a color. And we were like, why don't we just do black and white and make the sofa the star of the show in that room,
So say someone can't hire Beth and Carolina, and they want to be fearless in their own space. Where would you suggest somebody start?
That's a tough question because they really should just call us. I think if I didn't have this job and this career, I think what I would probably do is find the trusted designers that I like their aesthetic and their style and try to learn from them. I would go through their portfolio and I would see what I like and what I don't like.
Social media is such a great way now to get inspiration and things like that. So,
and
magazines.
Yeah, and I think too, you can there's a way to be fearless, but also with a little restraint, And so I think what's the thing that what's her name said, where just take off one piece before you leave the house, maybe that for the house too.
Is that true? Is that sort of how you take one thing out of a room maybe and then it feels right?
No, we probably add one more thing in. But I'm just saying,
I love to layer things. That's my problem. I have to edit sometimes, but I think, we do like to sometimes add a lot of, it's funny when the both of us are together and trying to accessorize things, we're adding one thing, look, one more thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about layering. So when you layer, you're talking about texture, pattern, color. Where do you start with that, and then what to you is a great finished product? How do you know when it's done?
We have a thing that we always say, it's the last 10%, which we always say it's the accessorizing of the project. And that's, for me, I feel, and also for Beth, it's something that we really sell to our clients, is that's what really makes your house a home. It's like when you get dressed today, you have this beautiful outfit and you put those earrings on,
at 3 p.m.
The earrings, that's a final touch. And that's the same thing in your home. It's the books, the accessories, the little vase, that goes on the table with stacked on a tray, or, all those little layers.
Yeah, because all the projects that we do, we don't really come in and style them like that. We bought all those things for our clients, or we styled their personal belongings and mixed in new things. So of course, we're moving things around for the photo shoot. It's not you have photo shoots or photo shoots, but if we're supplementing, it's very minor, and because we feel that you shouldn't hire a designer of our caliber or our caliber. I say that to our clients. There's really high caliber designers, but we're don't hire us if you don't want us to finish it, because we don't want to just furnish it or pick out tile and plumbing. We want your home to look like our portfolio when we leave.
It's down to the detail.
Yeah, so you have to. So we don't. I wouldn't say we require it, but we nearly make it a policy with the clients that don't hire us if you're not going to see it through. It's not worth it.
When you sit down with a client, a prospective client, how important is their story and who they are? Because at Homeworthy, the company that I run, story is so integral to the home, and we look not only for beauty and for a lovely apartment or a lovely seaside home or whatever it may be, but also story and who they are. And how important is that to find out who they are and then work from there?
It's really important. That's the first step for us in the design process, is the discovery part of the design phase, kind of the programming, I guess, but discovery sounds so much better. Where we ask all these questions to our clients, how they live, what are the things that they like, where are they from, what's their background? Because at the end of the day, that's our job, is to tell their story in their home, their life story.
Yeah, we're visual storytellers.
Visual storytellers.
And some designers aren't. Some designers have a niche and they have a certain style, and people go to those designers for that unique style. And I think we have our own aesthetic, but like every one of our projects really is
They're
so
totally
different. But they all have what we just call it a pulp thread. Like you can tell, a lot of people will say like, I knew that was a pulp project. I knew that was a pulp project. So they're like,
And we're back.
I know. So
How did you get the name Pulp?
well, it's not that exciting of a story, but we actually when we worked together, we also lived across the hall from each other in an old textile mill that was turned into a
funny.
loft. Now we have a textile
Foreshadowing, I
collection.
guess.
Right.
Yes. And we were like, when we decided we wanted to start the business, we both were like, you go to your place, I'll go to my place, and then let's like write a list of names, and we'll come back and we'll see how it shakes up. And so we knew we didn't want it to be like Dotolo, Gentry or whatever, because we just always wanted to be more of a brand than, and have those collections and stuff. And so when we came back to each other, my husband at the time, my boyfriend at the time, I lived with him, he had a DVD tower, which is so embarrassing. And there was Pulp Fiction was in there. And she, her husband, boyfriend at the time, had a magnet that was like the Pulp.
It was like a CD cover of the band Pulp.
The Pulp,
from
the British
UK.
band. Pulp. And so, it's kind of embarrassing because we have like magnets on our refrigerator and a DVD tower, and we're high-end designers, but whatever. But yeah, we both came back to the table with the name Pulp, and so we were like, well, I guess
On our list. We like the idea of it being more of a brand name rather than, like she said, like a very like associates type firm.
And
name.
there's something sort of edgy, I think, about the name Pulp. It's very like sort of underground, and I don't know what the word is, but like I think we wanted to be a little provocative and wanted to have like this like it all feeds into this whole fearless part where it's just like we wanted everything to be interesting and unique and not just like expected.
What scares you two?
Oh.
No.
Not having
Never
projects.
think about that. Yeah, I mean,
No.
yeah.
Dying.
But anything when it
We all
comes to
die.
design?
Death.
Boring work, no.
Yeah. I mean, I it's hard to say what scares us because I don't think we're scared of much, really.
I think designers in general, like what we do every single day is solve problems. Like how many problems do we solve every single day? So many.
Yeah.
It's insane. I think like one time I was watching the Kardashians and like Kris Jenner said like we're firefighters, like we put out fires all day, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what we do. We put fires out all day.
Relate.
True.
So we just solve problems, and I think that your brain just gets into that, I'm going to fix this somehow. I'm going to come up with a solution to this no matter what. So it takes that kind of fear out of things. Because you'll know you're always going to come up with a solution.
You're going to get into action.
You're going to somehow find a solution to it.
Yeah.
Have you ever made a bold decision that's backfired?
I can't think of one. No, I don't think so.
Well, good. That's great.
I know, right?
Where do you continue to find inspiration for your projects and just as you grow as designers?
I mean, I think a big inspiration we always say is like our clients and the story that they have, because that's really where the crux of what we do is built. But, we like to travel a lot. We travel together.
Fashion.
And honestly, like Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like
Instagram. I still look at magazines, guys. I like paper. I'm sorry, but I do.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like other designers' work is so, like, it's just so fun to see what other people are doing and how they're being creative and how it's done differently than you would have thought to do it. We always find other designers to be so inspiring, well-known and then unknown. Like, it's just really cool to see what other people are doing.
Can we talk about the Kip Space Show House for a minute? We
listen.
will have some photos that circulate, so maybe
This is one of them, yeah.
All right, just tell people, set up the scene for Kip's Bay.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Kip's Bay Show House it's going on its 50th year in New York, and it's now in Dallas and in Palm Beach. And when I was in college, I did a New York trip for like a design trip, and we went and toured Kip's Bay Show House. And I said to myself, I'm gonna design a room in Kip's Bay Show House. So it's basically all these designers come together and they do a room, a space in a house or an apartment or whatever it is in New York and now in Dallas and Palm Beach. And so we got asked to do the Dallas Show House. We had no idea what we were getting into, how much it was going to be from an investment standpoint or a time standpoint. And we got, I think, one of the trickiest rooms in the entire house.
Well, we selected a room.
Because we're not. Well, no, that's a bold decision to backfire.
That was,
actually.
it didn't really backfire,
No,
but it was, I will say that the reason we selected this space is because we wanted to be able to showcase a wide variety of different types of aesthetics that we can do. So it was basically a huge kind of space that we could do 3 different types of design. So we did like a little office nook, we did a bathroom, and then it was this kind of like sexy lounge, and they all had their own vibe.
So the concept that we came up with was called the space was called The Wise and the Wicked. And so the concept was this was during like COVID.
Yeah, it was like right after COVID, it was in 2021. So everybody had been locked in their, working from home, like having that mindset.
And so the idea was that we created a client for ourselves, and she was a woman who worked from home, who was like a high-powered businesswoman. She had like her little office, and then when she was done working, there was a hidden door that would take her through a boudoir and then into what we called like the sinner's lounge, which is where she could just sort of like be away from her family,
children,
away from her kids. There was like cigarettes and nudes, and it was just like snakes, and it was just a fun. It's not up there yet, but it's just a fun. It was just like a really fun, very moody kind of vibe. And so that it was just we had fun with the concept and had fun trying to like embody this person that we wanted to design for, but it ended up being like this really layered, cool space that showed how you can be neutral and interesting and have lots of layers, but then you could also be very bold and dynamic. And it got a really great response, and we had a lot of fun with it and had fun partnering.
But this is an intense experience. I mean, set the scene for people. It's like how
weeks. It's 10 weeks from start to finish. It's 10 weeks from when they say, "Hey guys, you guys want to do this? Select all your stuff, get it designed, get it approved, and get it built and installed." It's
like
really
construction,
intense.
Furniture, like all of it had to be done and designed in 10 weeks. Like it was insane. And then when it opens, then you have to man it for a month.
But you're also having, you have other designers that are doing different rooms at the same time, and they're doing construction. So if they're doing the floor, this is one of part of our space. If they're doing the floor downstairs and we were upstairs, then you can't work on your room for like a week.
So this was the Wise. This was the office.
Yeah.
And then there's the armoire.
You walk through it, and you go through a bathroom to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Talk about that armoire and those handles.
Those are amazing.
Those are Lisa Jarvis piece of hardware. And we were in Palm Springs, actually trying to find our house that we own now, and we got asked to do this, and we were swimming in the pool, and we
had too much to drink that day and said yes before thinking of what we were getting.
But then we started brainstorming, like how can we make it cool, and we knew immediately we wanted.
That's like the little nook in the office too.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to do like a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe kind of concept, so the space was perfect for it. And then we also knew that it was a loft. It was a loft space. You had to go upstairs to get to it, and our space was the only one up there. And so we didn't want people to not know that it was there. So in this nook, in this attic, we had the wall covering going up, but then we had a mural painted on the ceiling so that people could see that like something exciting was going on up there, because you couldn't see it otherwise. And then here's our Sinner's Lounge. That we had that's all custom hand painted wall covering from Fromental, and we had them. We designed it with them to where it circled around our sconces, so it was all really all very thoughtful. It was a lot of fun. I think it's one of our most proud.
And it's funny how our clients were like, "How could you do that so quickly?" And it's like, because we didn't have one of you guys.
We had no clients.
Stunting our creativity.
They're like, "Why doesn't our project take 10 weeks?"
I know.
They're like, we do what we want.
Yeah.
When you start, this is not that. What is this?
This is our textile collection.
These are the sets we designed for the textile collection.
The drapery, the pillows, all of it.
Mm-hmm. Those are our fabrics.
Yeah, every fabric in there is one of ours, and so we designed.
That is also our fabric.
We had the opportunity to design 4 sets, 2 for each collection, that we could just showcase the fabrics. Limited budgets, they're sets, but we had fun with it. Like we wanted this to look like this was for like a residential collection. So we wanted it to look like a hotel, but it could also look like home. So we did, and we added wall covering.
And some of those fabrics were, some of them were performance or like high, like double rubs and stuff like that for hospitality. So
I love this one with the cranes.
It's a fun one. And it's cool because you can open that wall up completely to where you don't see the cranes at all. So you don't have, like, it's not all the time commitment, you know? So it's a fun little touch.
So with Kips Bay, was that something that it was like a marathon or a sprint, really, and then you were finished? And then what shocked you about that process?
That we
How expensive
got it
it
done.
was. How expensive it was.
That we got it done when it was supposed to be done. There's just, I mean, Kips Bay's wild. It's really, it's really
like
is wild.
you're just in it. And I would say too, like, if anybody wants to do a show house like that, like, you kind of have to have it. Well, maybe not, but maybe you're Wonder Woman. But like, you kind of have to have a team because that we had to still manage our projects and our clients while also being in like knee deep in trying to manage that project and design it so quickly. So, you know, either have a really great team or just not have a heavy workload because it is so time consuming.
When you are so bold and fearless with your colors and your textures and your patterns, talking about the Kips Bay space where you've got 3 rooms back to back to back, how do you connect them so that there's a narrative, so that there's a through line? Maybe we can even look at them. I mean, how do you make it so it's not overwhelming?
So this is kind of like the sweet version, right? The wise. It's kind of like, you're kind of like the sweet, wise, passive woman, right? Professional. And then you're going into the bathroom that's a little more daring with the black and white contrast. And then you go into the other room, which is like wild with the rich tones. And I don't know, it was just, I think the color palette kind of played off of itself. Like this has little hints of that kind of sexy leopard. And then you're going into the other one, which has like a fun pattern on the floor. All of these have little unexpected things that layer onto each other.
I think too, while one is light and a little lighter and brighter, and then the other one is more bold and rich, there's sort of like a golden hue and nice punches of black and like a bronzy sort of ambiance to it all that kind of like marry.
It's the same kind of palette.
Yeah, but like
this is amazing. Like, talk about that chair. It's sort of like a.
I know, it looks like a vertebrae or something like
yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. You try to get vendors that you really love or that you work with to try to incorporate them into your space, obviously. And that was one of our vendors that we really loved, like one of our showrooms that was so nice to loan us that chair. But again, some of it to make it look kind of wicked. And
some of it we had to buy, but yeah.
What's kind of been your secret to success for having such a flourishing business for almost 20 years together?
Well, I think being open and honest, brutally.
Yeah, we are like, we're like sisters almost.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest
thing.
Like a marriage. Like we are married.
I mean, I think we kind of are common law at this point. Like, we own businesses together and she's like my older son's godparent. She was my maid of honor. We have like done everything together. But we said this all the time. I do think that me moving to Seattle saved our business.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
I think if we were in the same room every day.
Yeah, no, it's nice that we have our own. I mean, we work together as one big company, but it's nice that we have our own, offices so that we're not on top of each other every single day. But we see each other all the time.
Yeah, and we talk all the time.
Okay, so this makes a successful working relationship. What makes a successful project that you work on?
I think if it really tells the story of the person who lives there, I think if it's interesting and worth showing off, I think that's what makes it a good project. Like if the homeowner really wants to show their friends and family but at the same time feels like they are expressed in their space when it's just them, I think that's what makes the project successful. And it goes down to like not just construction, but also like all the finishing details and the art and everything. I think just someone feeling like their story's been told in their space.
And it's extremely rewarding for us as designers, like the entire process of design in general that you go through and all of the ups and downs and issues that you problem solve. At the end of the day, when you do that install and you see the family come in and like see the space and like see how excited they are and how they love it, and then get a phone call weeks later saying like, we use this room all the time and we never used it before, or just seeing how we changed their life or because of their environment it's awesome. It's so rewarding.
A dad saying like, I'm cooking with my kids in the kitchen now because now it's welcoming for everyone, and it's just like stuff like that is like when you know that you've like changed their daily experience. I think is like, it's why we do what we do. It's why we put up with these clients.
When you were starting out in the business and you were kind of developing your own sense of style and taste and point of view, who inspired each of you?
Like designers or just
designers or anybody really, or how did you find your voice?
When I was a kid, I'm from a small town in South Texas, and I just loved magazines, like so many magazines, and I used to watch Style with Elsa Clench on like CNN, which is like, I know weird. I don't know if anybody knows what that show is, but it was amazing. And I think that people like, I would say like Ralph Lauren, who truly, it's like a fashion. I think fashion and design just go together in general. Like, fashion sets a trend on colors and things like that, and it trickles into interiors. But he's like such a great hero when it comes to creating like a lifestyle for people, right. Like truly. And just some of the people that were here today, like Tom Felicia has a great like layering style, and I love Thomas O'Brien. We love Kelly Wearstler. Like there are just so many different designers that have had an impact on us.
Yeah, I just learning from other designers and seeing their work and being able to pull a little thread from each one of them that resonates with you, I think is like, the best. And there's probably designers in the audience that we've like seen their stuff and be like, ooh, I really like that. Like,
and travel. I think when you travel and you experience other cultures, you remember that. Like even in our fabric, like we have one that's embroidered and all that. It looks like this like, it reminds me of like an Otomi fabric from Mexico, but it's like a deconstructed like modern version of it. And that's what we liked about it. Like we it's just interesting how those types of things visually impact you.
And I think when you're passionate about design, like you find design or cues in anywhere you look. It could be art or it could be
nature.
A hotel. It could be, like you find the cues and you find ways to adapt them into your design. You could find a palette or a metal detail in jewelry that you want to turn into hardware or whatever the case may be. But it's just like you kind of like, it's so cheesy, but like you just sort of have to look everywhere, otherwise you're just going to be duplicating other people's work,
It was mentioned at the beginning of the chat that it's not go bold or go home, it's go bold at home. Let's just have you each sort of talk about what that means to you.
Well, here's an example. That's like a fun sofa, it's like such a fun, I think that's bold and it's exciting, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in a kid's room, it could be in different areas. So, and just pushing our clients to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think just, you want your spaces to be interesting and exciting, or maybe the opposite, or not still interesting, but maybe like it serves a purpose of like, deregulating you and calming you. So, I think it's really important though to like really go for it. Like you only live once, you can design many houses if you want, but I just think that, like I said, life's too short to be boring,
Just like this mural here, like on the ceiling, or there was a house that we did in South Texas that the client, it's very French looking and it's very monochromatic, it's more traditional, but we did a 14-foot by 12-foot huge painting, a custom William McClure piece that was the largest piece that I'd ever done at the time.
He had to go there and stretch it on site.
We had to stretch it on site. And that to me was like going bold for that client. Like even though she was more of a traditional, like you're doing this like huge piece, instead of doing wall covering, like let's just make it a canvas, like an actual like piece of art.
Did that require persuasion, or that was...
Yeah, there's so many things like, gallery wall. It's like, why? Like, you can just do this huge piece. It's so fun. So it was something that we all discussed, and it turned out, it's beautiful. It looks so great.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we always ask people who we film with is, what makes a house a home? And how would you each answer that question?
All of the stuff that you collect over the years. They all tell a story, right? It's a memory. It's like it takes you back to the time of when you purchased those things or it's that experience that you get. And that's what creates all the layers in your home too. It's, it's a visual story of kind of like your life and your journey through, like, from things that you've collected over time.
Yeah, and also how you're using the space of this, like, I think the thing that I love about my home is that I've designed it to where it works for my lifestyle. And I know that, like, it's like I have cherished moments, like sitting on a sectional with my kids and watching movies and eating popcorn and, or sitting in my kitchen while my husband cooks, because I don't really cook. But, just like having a glass of wine, like in a little perch in the kitchen that, I can be with so I think it's also about, it's about the stuff, but it's also about how it works for the people living in it. And I think that's what makes good design.
Well, I want to leave time for some questions. I know we're ready for it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Do we have questions in the audience for Beth and Carolina about being fearless?
It's like nobody has to ask. We do.
Oh.
Hi, Beth and Carolina.
Hi.
I've followed your career since pretty much the beginning and have always been a huge fan. And I wondered, what has being in business for this long, what are the challenges that you've faced that allowed you to build on the projects that you have? Like, from the very beginning, you've had bold design. From the very beginning. I remember spotting you and thinking, they're going to be something. And,
so nice. Thank
absolutely.
you.
So what projects sort of pushed you in that, going further and further and further?
I think Kips Bay was probably like the good one that really like propelled us forward a little bit. But then before that, I think that the glass house that we were talking about, I think that one helped move the needle a little bit, especially in the Seattle market, because we had established in Dallas, and then I moved to Seattle, so we had to like reestablish ourselves in a whole new city. And so I think that really helped move the needle, because we got a really cool client, a really cool project, and we were able to really show. Someone gave us permission to be able to do what we do for them, because when you're first starting out, you have to be scrappy, and we were doing bold stuff, but it was like, yeah, we painted stripes on a wall because like we didn't have budget for wall covering or whatever the case may be. So it's like every year it's just gotten better and better, and the clients have gotten.
The clients always get better and the budgets get better, which make your projects better. So that's really the key.
And of course,
building that client base so that you can build your portfolio.
Yeah, and of course it's more problems. You know what I mean? Like the better the clients get, the more difficult they are sometimes. But it's like, it is what it is. But thank you for asking. Thanks for coming.
Any other questions in the audience?
Well, I have another question, actually.
Oh.
What's left on your bucket list?
Oh. I don't want to tease, but we do have a bucket list item that's coming to fruition next year. We're just not allowed to talk about it. But I would say, we want to do a furniture collection. We want to do hardware. We want to do lighting. Our bucket list is like
a big bucket.
Like a big bucket. Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Same.
That we want to do.
Yeah, more like, I would say more brand product driven. I feel like in the design realm, we've done a wide array of different things throughout our career, other than like an airplane or like a big yacht. But for the most part, we've designed like a wide variety of spaces, like hotels and commercial buildings.
Well, if anybody has a yacht in the audience, here are your designers.
And if anybody wants a designer, design a collection for them.
Any vendors out there that want to do a collab?
Just kidding. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
What's on your bucket list?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. More and more content. Right now, Homeworthy is our main vertical with home content, but we want to also expand into the boating space and the plane space, and how can we tell more stories?
That's great.
There's just endless spaces to to profile.
Oh my gosh, so boat and plane space.
Plane word,
Can
yes.
we,
I wanna learn more about boats
collab
and
on
planes.
that? Like, can we design something and you can create a story about it?
But that's just what's so interesting, I think, just about everybody has a story is our tagline. And whether or not it's a 350 square foot studio that is a minimalist approach or it's a maximalist approach, I mean, we like to profile everybody. So it can be a small space, it can be a sprawling mansion, and then everything in between. Because I just think that everybody has their own ideas and their own story to share. And I think that people like in some ways being able to see, oh, that's attainable for me. I live like that. If I can, my 1-bedroom apartment could look like that. So I think that is sort of refreshing for some people when they turn on the channel, they can see something that looks attainable. But then at the same time, other people want something aspirational. So we just got back from filming a huge castle in England. So we have one end of the spectrum, we have the other end of the spectrum, and then everything in between.
But that's so inspiring for a wide range of people. That's awesome.
And I think we need to profile the two of you.
Okay.
Well, everybody, thank you. Carolina, Beth, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.